Hello, welcome to HITC Sport. Alright, okay, let's take a look at every Champions League team right now, still left hanging on in the competition, even by the length of a fingernail for some, and just see what player they have that's never played in the Premier League before has come agonizingly close. And just see what would have happened if they'd actually come to England. Right, let's go. Barcelona, Lionel Messi, Arsenal. Listen, I realize Arsene Wenger often speaks a load of waffle. Good Christ, according to him, he had every budding young talent in his office. Not in the Harvey Weinstein way, of course. No, he's just been quick to tell everyone that it was him who discovered them first. Christ above, next he'll be claiming ownership of Justin Bieber. But yes, apparently back in 2003, the same summer Arsenal signed Cesc Fabregas in Barcelona ahead of their invincible season, back when the Black Eyed Peas were dominating the radio, with Fergie wailing into our eardrums like a pregnant banshee. Anyway, apparently Wenger registered his interest in both Gerard Piqué and Messi, only to be shut down. Well, good Christ, can you imagine if Messi had wound up in North London? He'd have had his confidence crippled around his ankles. Let's not forget, his rise has also coincided in Arsenal's decline. So if he'd stayed, good Christ, stuck in the same team as Nicholas Bentner and Danielson. I know Fabregas stayed until 2011, but good Christ, Messi would have been on the first plane back to Spain around 2007, probably climbing himself into Thierry Henry's suitcase. PSG, Kylian Mbappe, Chelsea. Again, I touched on this in another video, but good Christ, back in 2012, Chelsea had a 13-year-old Kylian Mbappe in the building, sticking him in a trial only to turn him down because he didn't track back enough. Yep, because that's exactly what you want Mbappe to do. Defend. Christ above, he's not in the Nemanja Matic. But imagine if Chelsea had stuck this French prodigy into their youth team. Can you imagine what another goal machine superstar they've turned into at Stamford Bridge? No, because instead he just have his potential melted out his ears. You can just smell and taste what would have happened to this poor child. Firstly, you can forget about breaking into the team under Jose Mourinho. I'm pretty sure that guy's attendance at youth games was about as spotty as my dad's attendance at breakfast for the last 17 goddamn years. To be fair, I did used to drink my Cheerios out of his shoe. He was right to leave. No, by 2015, Mbappe would have been stuffed out on loan to Vitesse Arnhem. Just some babysitting creche for Chelsea, masquerading as an ambitious Dutch club. He might have scored a few goals there, but again, trying to impress Chelsea bosses all the way out there, about as futile as me trying to impress my dad on the internet. He doesn't watch. He'd have returned only to be binned off in further loans to Bordeaux and Marseille, and during the summer of 2018, when he should have been lifting the World Cup, no, he'd just be another forgotten Chelsea reserve with a crippled confidence and self-belief, and just sold to Lyon for 20 million quid, i.e. he'd be the next Bertrand Traore. And the moral of the story is, good Christ, if you're a teenage child, then I'm pretty sure accepting a youth scholarship at Chelsea is about as dangerous as accepting a sleepover at Father O'Reilly's attic. RB Leipzig, Dale Upamecano, Man United. Look away, Man United fans, but you could have signed Dale Upamecano for £700,000 in 2015 instead of chucking 80 million quid at a human letterbox.
Man United agreed personal terms with Dale Upamecano report.
And this was back in May 2015 when he was just 17 years of age and stuck out of Valenciennes in France. Oh lads, the official club website even said this.
Dale Upamecano, 16, is signed to Manchester United for €450,000 with €900,000 bonuses.
Now, considering this was some unknown 16-year-old child, Man United fans weren't exactly crying in the streets when this deal collapsed. Christ above, the news probably registered in their brains as if they'd just been told they'd run out of cheese in their fridge. Nobody would have cared, but I bet they care now. Apparently the deal caved in because Valenciennes wanted £700,000, with the ingenious Ed Woodward not budging over his offer of £500,000. You know, the same summer they spent £16 million on Matteo Darmian. I mean, come on, a year later they were spending £30 million on Eric Bailly. They weren't exactly strapped for cash. And now he's about to sign for Bayern Munich for £40 million, becoming the modern day Matt Hummels. How do United just pay the damn couch change in 2015? Essentially 1 week's wages for Alexis Sanchez, and you'd have a centre-half pairing of Maguire and Upamecano. That doesn't sound half bad. Juventus, Adrian Rabiot, Man City. Listen, Man City look pretty good in midfield right now, so this wasn't a huge mistake, but still, if they just held on to Adrian Rabiot, they could probably have sold him for about £30 million. Rocking about Manchester City in 2008 when he was just 13 years old. According to the scout, it was his impatient and demanding mother who drove him back to France after just 6 months. Had he stayed, he'd have broken into the team under Roberto Mancini, meaning there'd have been no need for Jack Rodwell to soak up wages on the bench. He'd have been a Premier League winning midfielder, replacing Gareth Barry. He'd have been a great foil for Yaya Toure in the centre of the park, before probably being sold to PSG in 2015. Sevilla, Ivan Rakitic, Arsenal. Yeah, we've established Wenger likes to flap his gums about nearly signing anything with a pulse and 2 working feet, but nobody ever seems to acknowledge this trial team sheet in 2004. Here's a trial game where a young midfield talent from Switzerland, a future Champions League winner let's not forget, ended up in the same midfield as Fabrice Muamba, trying to lay on chances for Nicholas Bentner and Anthony Stokes, which is like trying to iron your clothes with a toaster. Most of these footballers have wound up disappearing, but Rakitic, he went on to play in a World Cup final, won 4 league titles in the Champions League with Barcelona, represented Croatia over 100 times, and yes, he was chucked in the same Arsenal rejection scrap heap as Jeremy Swaz-Lynch. I mean, come on, had he stayed, Wenger could have partnered him in midfield alongside Fabregas, and later Aaron Ramsey Ramsey before doing what most Arsenal players do and graduate via Man City. Probably in 2011 when he was 23 years old. Why not? Borussia Dortmund, Erling Haaland, Everton. Imagine being Everton, a club starved of an actual purebred centre forward. Lads, since Wayne Rooney left in 2004, I can count on one hand one actually world-class striker Everton ever had at their club. And lads, even then I'm choosing to ignore that Romelu Lukaku does have the touch of a broken couch. But it's your own fault when you rejected a teenage Erling Haaland in 2017. He was given a 4-day trial at the academy and told he wasn't good enough. Okay, admittedly he played just 16 games in Norway's version of the championship for Bern and had registered a big bag of nothing. Against defences that are probably easier to penetrate than home-cooked pie. But make no mistake about it, this Leeds-born centre forward would have been the perfect replacement for the outgoing Lukaku, and he'd have cost no more than a packet of Kit Kats. But no, instead of looking to the future, you look to the past, dragging in a tired old Wayne Rooney with weary legs and a waning libido. If he had stayed at Goodison Park, he'd be a 25 goal a season goal machine. Atletico Madrid, Salonigas, Man United. Yeah, this is the story that always does the rounds. But you have to think Man United must have been pretty close to getting Salonigas the amount of times it's mentioned in the media. Had he gone to Old Trafford, he'd have been an absolute superstar in the Manchester United midfield and could have tipped them over the line to get a title this season. Bayern Munich, Robert Lewandowski, Blackburn. Lads, it took an act of nature to stop Robert Lewandowski winding up at Ewood Park. If it weren't for that Icelandic ash cloud in April 2010, if it weren't for a goddamn volcano erupting, then Lewandowski, one of the greatest centre forwards of our generation, would have been playing up front with Benjani. I mean, what? Instead of a move to Germany where he's become a living legend, the Polish striker would have been stuck in a dead-end job up front for a chaotic Blackburn. By the end of the year, he'd been taking orders from Steve Keane, a guy who looks like an actual egg. How would he have done at Ewood Park? Listen, Croatian goal machine Nikola Kalinic has since gone on to play for some pretty massive clubs, but he was a Blackburn flop back then too, and so I'm pretty sure a young Lewandowski would have been that as well, playing for a disgruntled set of fans who honestly looked like they wanted to burn the club to the floor. 2012 was his breakout year, smashing in 30 goals for Dortmund to win the Bundesliga. At Blackburn, that would have been the year of getting relegated to the championship alongside Yakubu and David Goodwillie, before being sold to someone like Red Bull Salzburg. Atalanta, Duvan Zapata, West Ham. Yeah, I know West Ham had a £30 million bid were rejected by Atalanta for Colombian goal machine Duvan Zapata in 2019. But lads, go back to 2013 and they'd actually agreed a £6 million fee with Estudiantes for the man after he starred for the Colombian under-20s at the Toulon tournament. Sam Allardyce wanted to stick him up front alongside Andy Carroll, only for the deal collapsed due to a failed work permit, leaving the Hammers to spend twice that transfer fee at Inter Valencia, who wound up a massive flop. To be fair, at 22, Zapata probably wasn't ready for the Premier League, and he failed to impress at Napoli, so yeah, probably the best this one didn't happen. Real Madrid, Karim Benzema, Man United. Yeah, back in 2009, and Man United were salivating over Karim Benzema at Lyon, a 21-year-old goal machine in France, who had already spanked one in against Manchester United in the Champions League, and with Ronaldo on his way out, Sir Alex Ferguson was desperate to replace his goals and chuck in a couple of big money bids. Now, if Madrid hadn't been greedy that summer, and instead allowed Benzema to waddle off to Old Trafford, he'd have been incredible in England. With Benzema and Rooney up front, there'd have been no need for Robin van Persie. They'd have won the league in his debut season instead of Carlo Ancelotti's Chelsea in 2010. They'd have reclaimed it in 2011, and then 2012, and again in 2013, with Benzema scoring between 15 and 20 goals a season. And then yes, maybe then he'd have left for a world record fee in 2013, probably to go to Real Madrid, because I have to think the ego of this man wouldn't want to stick around to take orders from a former Everton coach. Borussia Mönchengladbach, Alassane Plea, Newcastle. Yeah, Newcastle waited 14 years to break their transfer record, only to unveil Miguel Almiron in January 2019. Someone I'm pretty sure the Geordie fanbase had never heard of. He's been a decent-ish signing for the club, but still, if Newcastle's £20 million move for Alassane Plea in Nice in 2018 had come off, then this guy would still be eating cheeseburgers in the MLS. Considering he's since gone on to score 15 goals a season in Germany, oh yeah, and bag hat-tricks in the Champions League, under an exciting forward-thinking coach like Marco Rose, then at Newcastle, he'd currently be another big money French flop, being barked at by a tactical dinosaur and being fed passes from Sean Longstaff. Oh Christ, he'd probably feel like chewing off his own ear. What do you think? How do you think these players would have turned out if they got into the Premier League? Let me know in the comments below. Enjoy the video. And always, I'll talk to you in a while.